my business now little over 12 years ago. February 7th, we actually incorporated. About 10 years back, 2 years before that, I was a sole proprietor, just trying to, learn business. And I was a mover, not a business owner.
Yeah.
So the first 2 years, it was figuring out, should we incorporate? Should we be a LLC? Should we just be a sole proprietor? And that's the way we should run. And the longer I was involved, the more I realized we are a company, and where it's not just me and a cousin and a brother in a truck. It's more than that.
How many people are in your shop right now?
So right now we have about 20. We average between 20 and 25 people in the field. So that's people going to homes, doing the moves. That's our average year round.
Got it.
In the winter, sometimes it kicks us back to about 20. People are changing jobs. They don't want to do the cold weather anymore. And then in the summer, we get up to 30 plus people, just because of volume of what's going on.
Yeah.
We always do our best to retain as many as we can, because we don't just do residential moving. So in the winter, everybody says, oh, it slows down. I think it slows down if you allow it.
I get it.
If you allow the pause, if you're just sitting back waiting for the phone to ring, you'll be sitting back waiting for the phone to ring.
Right.
Where for us, we try to do as much networking as possible. I always used to say this years ago, we'd shovel all the way over to that rock to flip it over to see if there's any opportunity under it. And then, there's nothing much here. Okay, where's the next bump in the snow, and let's tunnel our way that way. For us, it's always about marketing, networking, getting the face-to-face.
Yeah, that's huge. That's huge.
You want to know who you're referring, no matter what the industry is. So having that connection, knowing that the guys that show up are trained. I have worked for multiple different family-owned businesses and a national company. Only time I was ever trained was hands-on by working with grandfathers and my grandfather and uncles, showing me how to wrap things, showing me how to protect them. But it was on the job. But again, when you're 8 to 14, the customer doesn't look and say, "Oh, I'm paying for that kid to learn." They're saying, "Oh, look at this kid trying to do well with his family."
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Versus you hire a professional company and you have 2 guys that know what they're doing, and the third is brand new off the street and doesn't know how to wrap a table or how to protect a chair. Those are the things that would get you worried as a client. And now I'm paying.
I would think as a business owner too, right?
Oh, especially
because that's kind of your name, your liability at the same time.
Exactly, it opens you up to liabilities, and it opens you up to potential issues. And those are the things that we do in-house. We have a training on how to pad furniture, how to protect furniture, how to load it, how to pack boxes, how to load a truck, how to load a storage container, how to load a storage container that's going to move versus one that's going to stay stable. There's a lot that goes into it that, again, I was never trained in any sort of standard. It was just the way it was done. So those are the things that we see. At least I have seen, but with working with multiple other companies, that doesn't happen. And it's scary to know that happens in our industry. But again, one of the things that we just do differently is we train these people. Right?
Yeah.
And then we hold them to a standard.
Yep. I think you said something really important. It's scary. I think it's scary for the consumer, right? Because as we talked about this a little bit earlier, you hire somebody, and maybe it's somebody you found on Google, or maybe it's somebody from a friend
right.
who did something, and maybe not at the capacity you need or whatever, and they show up, and they are really not meeting expectations.
They're
like,
not.
What do you do? You're closing the next day, or you have obligations to meet, and now you're like, it took you 3 weeks to get this person on the books, and
right.
and now what do you do?
Now what do you do when they show up and it's a rainy day in a pickup truck?
Yeah.
What do you do?
What do you do?
Do you allow your stuff to go in the rain? Or do you start frantically calling every moving company under the sun, hoping that somebody could show up with a enclosed truck? These are the things that really hurts the entire industry, that there's people that are still out there doing this. I understand people need to make a living, but if you're going to be in this industry, at least try to do it properly. Be licensed, be insured. Go through all the little loopholes or the rings that the state makes you go through to get a license, right?
Yeah.
Going out and buying a box truck and a pickup truck to do local moving, that's fine. Wish you the best of luck. I hope you're the best. If you have questions, contact me. I'd be happy to help because I'd rather help train somebody or help get them to something realistic and be good at what they do and caring, because it hurts the entire industry when you have a fly-by-night that doesn't show up. And now they're calling us saying, well, what do I have to do to make sure you show up? Just book your move. That's it.
Yeah.
Just book with us and we show up.
Yeah.
You'll get a confirmation call. You'll get that stuff that takes your worries from, oh my God, I have to move and how am I going to get out of here, to, okay, I hired a professional. They're going to take care of it. And again, if you don't get that warm and fuzzy over the phone with whoever you're booking with, no matter who it is, don't go with them. if you know, I have heard that so many times from clients. You know, I kind of had that feeling that something was going to happen, and it did. And we get that call, you know, very few and far between.
Yeah.
Nobody likes to admit that they made a mistake with anything.
Yeah.
But sometimes they will call and say, you know what, you guys were right. I wish I went with you, or we had a second phase of our move, or we just had them move a few things. Can you guys come out next week to finish it off? We've had those conversations as well, which make us feel good because we know what we're doing and we know what type of product we're putting out.
Yeah.
And those are the things, to me, that make a small difference. You know, to me, it's a small difference. To everybody else, it's probably a larger difference, right? I look at it as, why is it a small difference to us? Because anybody can move you from point A to point B. Anybody can.
Mm-hmm.
We can go do a move today, and it'll get done.
Yeah.
How is it going to get done? Is it going to get done the way it should? Is it going to get done in a timely manner? Is something going to get damaged? Is somebody going to get hurt? Those are the things that are big differences for customers, especially if you're hiring somebody who's not licensed. Somebody slips and falls, who's the insurance?
Who's paying that bill?
Who's paying the bill?
Yeah.
You slip and you drop, you know, your antique family members' heirlooms, and it's no longer there. Well, you don't even know who to call to see if it can be repaired. You're just ready to throw it out. Where a fair amount of the times there's local repair people that, when you hire a professional, know who to contact to say, oh, a small scratch on it, but we have a guy, right?
Yeah.
Just like anything else.
Yeah.
We got a guy.
Yeah.
We have one.
I think that's huge. I think that goes across almost every industry where you're not, you know, you shouldn't just be, at least in my opinion, you shouldn't just be focused on what you do, because odds are there's at some point another industry that's going to coexist with your industry that you can extend whatever that referral is to actually make you shine a little bit brighter.
Right. I mean, at the end of the day, I think more now than ever, referral business, just like always, word of mouth was always key, right? Word of mouth. Second to that is, to me, referrals, which is still word of mouth.
Yeah.
But how do you get that, and how do you stay on top of it? One, when a problem does come up, you handle the problem. You do your best to handle the problem. You turn that, what could be something negative, you don't put them in your phone and put do not answer, right? Or angry customer on such and such road. You know, these are the things that you don't do, but I have seen it done.
Yeah.
And I'm like, half the time, all it needs is a conversation. Nothing more than a conversation. Very sorry this happened. You know, explain the situation and then try to remedy the problem.
Yeah.
And again, with us, I've been doing this my entire life. It's my name on the truck. I want to consistently do it for the rest of my life. In my working career, is be a mover, right? I'm not in moving and going to swing to mortgage or a real estate professional. It's not what I do. But I want to know as much, like you said, about your business so we know how we both work together, right? Closings, I'm sure, are coming together a lot quicker than they used to, with the market being so fast moving, I would say. I wouldn't know what to call it except for fast moving.
Yeah.
You know, you go look at a house on a Friday and you're trying to get it closed within 2 weeks now, because the market is limited. So everybody is rushing to get that done. And some of the small things that they miss out on is, how are we going to move our stuff, right? They're so fast moving forward, and then they're frantically calling moving companies, how can we do this? How can we get this done? And when the mortgage person has that relationship, the real estate agent, the home inspector that's going in, and they have that relationship saying, listen, these are the people to call. You got to call them. They'll show up. They show up on time. They do what they're supposed to, and they do what they say they're going to do.
Yep.
Even in a small window. And then, unfortunately, something happens with us. We nick a wall, we scratch a floor, we damage something. It could be a dresser that the laminate peels off of. Well, we have 3 great repair guys. We have 2 on staff and 1 that we hire. That's a local business that we hire because we're going to, again, refer to local people. Because they're going to make sure, 1, that client is happy for us.
Yes.
And now that client goes back, man, I can't believe it. The company that you hired, they damaged something, but do you believe they sent out a repair guy to fix it? And it's not even part of our company, right? This guy is somebody that we're paying out of pocket to make sure that your customer is happy and satisfied with the entire process from moving the start to finish. Something happens, but we remedy it. Those are the things that I see that are a fair amount of difference.
I think that's a huge difference because I think when you have that network and you can afford that to the consumer, and let's bring it all the way back to like meeting somebody who's thinking about selling their house and buying another one.
Yep.
And you start from day one. You kind of set some expectations.
Yep.
All right. You set some referrals, so the whole process is going to be essentially seamless. Especially if you have those relationships you can trust in. Hey, I call George. I know he's going to do a good job. I feel relaxed about that because I know that some Joe Schmo off this, wherever is not going to come in, screw this up. Now I need to explain to the other party why we need to extend, or what we need to make your rate lock extend, whatever it is, right?
Right.
And then the whole thing can just really just turn negative.
Oh, it could turn negative quick.
Very easily without the right people to lean into.
Yep.
The right professionals, right? Let's make sure
professionals.
That's a point.
I mean, there's some good moving companies in Rhode Island. I'm not going to take anything away from it. We have some good competition out there. I like to consider it good, healthy competition because it's, to me, those are the things, again, that help us push for better.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
And again, the things that worry me about it is when we get a frantic call from our referral partner. No matter who it is, again, flooring company, home inspector, mortgage company. George, our closing date has changed. Mr. and Mrs. So-and-so went with somebody else for the move. They can't do it on that day because the closing pushed. Now what do we do? Because they're frantic. They have no idea who to call. And my first thought is, well, they should have called us from the beginning. And most of the time we gave them your information. Which is great, and we appreciate it.
Yeah.
But I always say on that side is, now the customer is frantic, right? They're constantly calling you. What do I do about this? What should I do? Are we going to have to push it back? What happens if they don't show up and my stuff is still in the house? Are the new homeowners going to allow me to use the garage for a day so I can get somebody else here? Those are the questions that they're calling you with, and you're trying to, 1, facilitate that on top of everything else you're doing. So it's worth that good referral relationship, no matter who it is, to say, listen, I got this guy. They're some of the best in the industry. Give them a call. Go over it. Let them know your current situation of your last guy didn't show up. We're going to make sure that we can show up, whether it's very early in the morning or an afternoon job and we start at 5 o'clock at night, just to get the stuff out of the house because we don't want them to lose it. We don't want the deal to fall through. Nobody wants that. And then even sometimes it's right down to just somebody forgetting to initial a page, and again, it can't, or the closing is at 2 o'clock, and for some reason town hall closes early that day and it can't get on record, and we're ready to deliver the stuff into the house, and we can't because insurance won't cover it yet until the closing documents are fully on record, right?
Yeah.
So what happens? For us, we bring it back to our facility. We can put it in storage. We can keep it on the truck overnight, deliver it out first thing in the morning. We have enough people and enough staff to organize and adjust on the fly because we know it's not like it was even 6 months, a year ago, where you could talk to the new home buyer and say, we're just going to let them put it in the garage for the day, but now it's on their insurance and they don't want that, right? Where in the past you'd have potentially people working together a little bit more, and now it's, well, I don't want to be liable for your stuff in my garage for an extra night.
It is that way.
And I understand it.
I do too. I do too.
And I could definitely understand it. But again, it comes down to what happens with the other moving company that says, well, I don't have that day available, or we got to get the stuff off of your truck and we're going to bring it to ABC Storage Company down the road, and we're going to leave it there and give us a call when you're ready. You still have to get into your house. You might have a child that needs the crib the next night, right? Unfortunately, it's not going to happen that night, not due to the mover, due to insurances, due to closing documents, or whatever the case is. But having the company that knows what to do and it's not a panic, right?
Flexibility.
Right, the flexibility of it. And then, again, it's just when you're panicking, the last thing you want to do is call somebody else and they panic along with you, right?
Yeah.
Oh my God, what are we going to do? How are we going to make this happen? Right? It's calm down. This is how we're going to approach it.
Yeah.
This is what it's going to be, and this is how it's all going to work. And then all of a sudden they're calm. And they're like, okay,
Right.
I can sleep tonight. And
Yeah.
okay, I do know where my stuff is going, and I do know when it's going to show up. Those are the things, again, that can calm a customer, even though it has nothing to do with what we did with that customer. It might have nothing to do with our side of the transaction. It might be the person who's buying their house. It might be the domino effect of
Right.
they might not be able to close because the person before them couldn't close or get it on record.
Yep.
So a lot of those things come into play, and it's always, oh no, what do we do with our stuff? Or how is this going to work? I have to be out, and they want to close on the 15th, but I can't get into my house, my new one, until Monday the 18th. What do we, or whatever day it would be.
Yeah.
We can't get in. What are we going to do? We have seen it, a lot of it. I don't want to say all because there's always something new. But we have seen a lot of it and have taken years of experience to make sure when you call the office with that panic that they know what they're doing, that they know how to one, calm you down and get you back to a level playing field so you can think right as well. You don't want to make harsh decisions in the middle of your move of, oh my God, if I have to bring it to a public storage facility, I have to pay a month worth of storage.
Right.
And I'm only going to be there for 3 days.
Right.
Where if you hire the right company, they're going to have hopefully a very good resolve for you.
Yep.
At that point, it's too late if you're already in with them. So it's one of those things where make sure you ask these questions. What happens if my closing falls through? What happens if the date changes? What happens if I hire you guys and it's snowing, it's raining? What happens? Ask those questions, right? Is it your trucks? Are you showing up with your equipment?
Yeah.
It's amazing how many times I'm driving down the highway and I see in the rain somebody's couch with their bed standing up right next to it and they're moving it in a pickup truck. And I only hope that it's them doing it themselves and they didn't hire somebody to go and do that for them because your stuff is getting destroyed.
Right.
And I look at it and I say, with what's in the back of that truck, it probably would have been 15 minutes of our time to go and do that for them. And they would have never had to worry about it getting wet or damaged or anything along those lines. And I see it and I say, I love the do-it-yourselfers. I love the move on your own. If you could do it, great, do it. But what happens again? You get your stuff on your pickup truck and you can't close for 2 days. What do you do with the stuff on your pickup truck? Or you hire the guy that was referred to you from your best friend who in the summer is a landscaper 100% of the time, but he has a pickup truck and a trailer, and he's going to do some side moves in the winter. It might be a good experience. You might get lucky, and it might all go well. Or
A little bit of a gamble, sounds like.
Right, but
Yeah.
it's a gamble.
Yeah.
It might go well,
Yeah.
but it's going to be a gamble, right? Is your stuff going to show up with oil stains because it was in the trailer where the lawnmower normally goes, right? Those are the things that I look at being in this industry that, it's good if everything goes well. It's horrible when it goes wrong.
Yeah.
And I just don't like seeing that happen.
Yeah.
And again, unfortunately, that does happen with some professional license movers now, where they don't show up when they say they're going to. They will be there at 12, or we'll be there Monday at 8 o'clock, and then Monday at 10 o'clock they're calling, we had a guy call out, our truck broke down, we got a flat tire, and all these things do happen, right?
Sure.
They could be an excuse, or it could be really what happened. But then all of a sudden it's back in your lap, it's back in the consumer's lap of what do I do? Where if that happens with us, we get a flat tire, we call a local company to come out and fix our tire. It might take us longer, but you're dealing with the driver, you're dealing with our dispatch side of it saying, our truck is 15 minutes away from you, but it has a flat. the tow truck, the tire guy is on its way, or we're going to go grab a rental truck so we can get our crew to you immediately because it's going to be 4 hours before somebody could even come out and touch the truck, right?
Yeah.
Somebody calls out, I go and do the job. Our operation, somebody else from our staff is there to replace that person that called out that day.
Yep.
Because we know that it's important to get the move done during that time that it was set up for. We can't get it out. All of a sudden, you can't get the closing, or you have to adjust it, or so many domino effects from that,
Right.
where we don't want to be the cause of it. We
Yeah.
want to be part of the solution,
Right,
not,
right.
not the problem.
Yeah.
So
I think two really important things that you said in this conversation that really stick out to me is flexibility and experience. Because you talked about training, right? You know,
Yep.
you can train people
Oh, yeah.
so much,
Yep.
but there comes a point where experience is, you know, gonna show in your business.
Oh, yeah.
If you don't have you don't know what you don't know, right?
Right.
And you
Right.
don't know it until you
Until you
experience
experience
it.
it.
Yeah, and that experience is what really sets, you know, some more longer term businesses apart from
Oh, yeah.
some of these people who are just, you know,
Yep.
popping out of the ground, or
Yep.
you know, not taking the proper steps to do it the right way, or they are a weekend warrior with this or whatever it is.
Yep.
You know, experience is so valuable to any
any
industry.
Any industry.
So you know, those things really, I think, are
And again,
important.
I think a lot of it is just knowing what could happen, right? It's not every, you know, we get the call all the time. How much is a 3-bedroom house going to cost to move? Well, how much does a 3-bedroom house cost to buy? Every one is different, right? Every house that you look at is different.
Yeah.
There's a reason, as a consumer, you put a bid in specifically on this house because it fits your needs.
So hold on.
Yep.
Now that you said that, let's back up a little bit and just walk, because this kind of will play right into this.
Yep.
Walk me through the process of a customer calling you till job done.
Okay.
Like the process, like, you know, how do you handle those price and phone calls? You know, what does scheduling look like? How are you adapting to moves and et cetera, et cetera?
So we have three different ways a customer can book with us, start their booking process. One, they could do it all online with never having to physically talk to somebody and get it booked. We do a confirmation call to make sure that they're a real person
Yeah.
at the end of it, right?
Yeah.
But when it originally starts, it starts most of the time either phone call or email. Comes in either from our website or a referral from somebody. That customer contacts us, again, phone or email. Email, it's normally replied to within, I think we're running about a 15-minute reply time during normal business hours. After business hours, normally it's about an hour and a half, but they still get a reply after business hours. If it's a phone call or, again, something that they email in, hey, would love to talk to you about this, we're contacting them immediately from our office. We have office staff that, one, has a fully electronic system that can type in your address. It'll tell us where the home is located. It'll tell us what size the home is. And then,
that's nice.
then we start the walkthrough with the client of, and again, this is over the phone, and then we also have this in person. So we start, all right, when is your move date? Where are you moving from? Where are you going to? Just town to town. We don't need exact street addresses at first, but town to town. We want to have a good idea of where we're going, where we're going to go to, how big of a difference that is in timing.
Right.
And then we start figuring out from there, is it a 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom, 3-bedroom? How much stuff are you actually moving? Just because you live in a 2-bedroom home doesn't mean you have 2 bedrooms worth of stuff that is going.
Yeah.
Sometimes it might just be a bedroom set and a living room set because you're getting rid of something very old, or you're getting rid of the particle board furniture that you thought was going to be great, and it's already falling apart before the move even happens, and you say, you know, we're just going to leave that behind, or, you know, would you guys be able to throw it out on your way? Those are the things that our office staff is trained to do, is walk the client through every room of the house to get some sort of inventory of what they're actually moving. Then from there, we could break it down and say, okay, for your move, it's a 3-bedroom home in East Greenwich, and you're taking that 3-bedroom home and you're going into a 4-bedroom home in South County. a 3-bedroom home sounds as though it could be 4 guys and 2 trucks, or it might be 3 guys and 1 truck. Just by the sound of it, you don't know. So you have to do proactive, I always say proactive digging. Understanding what the customer's true needs are. And there are customers that call, it's just a 3-bedroom. It's an average 3-bedroom. Well, an average 3-bedroom
could be 2,500 square feet of stuff or 900.
Right.
So.
and it's completely different. And those are the things that we have to kind of make sure that the customer understands is, you know, I always say, be honest with your movers when you're booking the move. Because no one is making out. When you feel as though, oh, I'm just going to tell them it's only 2 rooms of stuff, they're going to give me a good price. Well, more than not, the movers are giving you a price based off of what you told them, not what isn't there or on the list. Now, the movers show up on move day. Again, this is for us, right? We got it booked. The customers get an email confirmation of their list that they told us, the date that we're going to show up, the time that we're going to show up, the crew members that are going to show up, and the estimate that's right there in front of them to say, based on these 15 belongings and these 45 boxes, this is what your move should be. Now the movers show up, they introduce themselves, they're in uniform, they do a full walkthrough with the clients before they get going because they want to load the truck accordingly. So as they're doing that walkthrough, they're just taking a look at their notes to make sure it matches up. Now all of a sudden the customer says, oh, you know, Nick or Jay or any one of our movers that are out there, Jose, Chris, we have a few more items. Is it okay to take? Yeah, of course it is. We don't have a problem taking more, and we don't have a problem taking less. But you want to add the basement that you didn't tell the guys about at the shop, or you didn't tell the estimator at the office, or you didn't tell the estimator who came out and saw it, you know, face to face. It's probably going to add an hour or 2 onto your move. We're okay with doing it, but now the estimate is off, and at the end of the job, the customer is, well, my estimate was 5 hours, and it took 7. Well, yes, you added a room in the basement that took 45 minutes to load and another 45 or an hour to offload it. Those are the things that are going to change the price. So I always say, be honest with what you have. Tell them, because it's not doing anybody favors.
Right.
Especially if you say, oh, it's a 3-bedroom house, and then they don't tell you about the bonus room, they don't tell you about the garage, they don't tell you about the shed, and it goes from a 3-guy, 6-hour job to potentially 5 guys, 2 trucks, and they're out there for 12 hours.
Yeah.
And me, I don't like having to go over it with the customer saying, if you just told us what it was, this would have happened right from the beginning, and we wouldn't have that downtime of waiting for the other truck to show up. Or it just makes it that much smoother if we know what we're getting into.
Yeah.
So I always say, just be honest. And I always say, if you have a question mark on this table going, just let us know that it might go, it might not. We don't know if it's going to fit yet. We'd much rather have that and give you, we sell on worst case scenario.
Yep.
We never sell on best case. If we think a job is going to take 4 hours, we're probably going to tell you it could take 6. And realistically, I would rather have that customer know that in front instead of we get the call, well, the last mover I talked to said they'll be out of here in no time, maybe 4 or 5 hours at the most. Okay, they might be accurate, or they might not, and they might be basing it on what you just told them, right? So I always would much rather cover more and come under. And there are times where we still go over our estimate. It's a rainy day. We have to take more time in prepping the furniture. We have to shrink wrap it so it doesn't get wet.
Yep.
Those are things that, again, are out of our control, but what we can control is how it still shows up when it gets to the other side, right? You don't want your mattress carried out in the rain, just your mattress. You want it in a bag, making sure your mattress isn't wet and you can sleep on it.
Right.
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 Where it takes a little bit longer, so it might add on to the estimate. So those are the things that we try to go over with the customer, again, as they're booking, you know. Right now, our system is saying it could take 4 to 5 hours. We're going to say 6 with our travel time, with everything else included. That might be a realistic price, and then the guys go out, they do the walkthrough. It's less than what the customer said because they had a night off before the move and they took some boxes over. Or they loaded up the TV and a few other things in their car because they were worried about it happening, something happening to it, and they do it on their own. Well, now all of a sudden it took a half hour off of their time, and we're coming under their estimate. So those are, again, the things that we try to make sure that if the customer is just honest and upfront with what they want to move, it's going to be very easy for us to give an accurate and realistic price.
Yeah.
And then moving day, again, the guys show up, they do their walkthrough, they introduce themselves. They're having the conversation with the customer to make sure that things are landing the way they should. There are times where you have to meet the cable guy, right? Somebody's coming out to hook up the internet, and they have to have the TV, and they have to have the computer system there to get it up and running. Well, if you're the client and you don't relay that message to the mover, and that's something that they put towards the front of the truck, and cable is getting there at 1 o'clock, we're there unloading at 12 as well, but we have an hour or two before we get to that stuff. And now the cable guy's sitting there waiting. If we knew, we would have loaded it towards the back of the truck, and it would have been first thing off.
Right.
So that's why we say communicate. And over-communicating isn't a bad thing. We'd rather know.
Yeah.
So those things, again, you just tell us, and it happens. It makes it that much easier. The guys show up, again, they do the walkthrough. They ask the questions. Are you going to need anything sooner? Oh, we notice you have a crib. Does that need to be set up immediately? Those are the questions that they're asking. Oh, your TVs, is cable already there? Does that have to happen? Your beds, you took them apart before we showed up, which helped our time. Do you want us to put them together at the end? If so, where's the hardware for this bed? So many times customers will come up with a Ziploc bag and say, this is all the hardware for everything. And it's the dining room table, it's the bedroom set, and it's all in one bag. They did great and they bagged it, but it's all in one bag.
Yeah.
And now we're trying to figure out what screws go to what. So those are the things that we disassemble, we reassemble, everything we take apart. So if you don't know how to use a screw gun, you don't know how to take things apart, leave it together, we do it. And then we put it back together for you. So those are the things, again, that we tell the customers, we make sure they're aware. But a lot of the times, again, you have some anxious customers that just want to get it done. Everything is in one level in the living room, everything. They put all the bedroom stuff in there, which is great for us. But then we get there and they're like, wow, you guys are way faster than I thought. Would you mind putting this stuff back together? And there are times we have to say no because it's a bag full of screws and we can't tell what goes to what.
Yeah.
But we do our best to at least get them in the right direction.
Yeah.
And then they do the same thing. When everything makes it to the new home, they do a full walkthrough at the end of the job, making sure everything is where they want it. Do you want this table centered? Do you want this over here? Your couch is where you want it. Your bed is set up. You're good there. The mirrors are back on the bureaus. The dining room table is back together. All that stuff is made sure they're done before they leave. So that way, we're not getting the call 2 weeks later when they get to the table that was leaning up against the wall because the boxes were in front of it.
Yeah.
We get it done that day. So the customers do their full walkthrough. Our crew does it with the customers. Full walkthrough at the load and unload before they leave. Then a email is sent out after the job is paid, requesting any feedback, good, bad, indifferent. The guys were great. They took a half-hour break. Just wanted to make sure it reflected in the bill. Those are the things that we want to make sure that we're seeing and getting.
Yeah.
Right. And then also on the flip side of it is, if we did something wrong, we want to know so we can make it better for the next person.
Yeah.
Moving is very stressful. It's not the easiest job that there is. It's very physical.
Yeah.
It's not a if something is going to happen, it's a when. And then how do you remedy that situation just like anything else, right?
Yeah.
Well, like we said earlier, local repair guy, local plasterer, painter, local floor guy. We have those resources to make sure that that client is dealt with the whole way through if something does come up in the negative side of it. But then on the positive side of it, it's, okay, who else do you know that's going to be moving? What else can we do for you that's one step in the right direction to help you in the future? And sometimes it's even just going to pick up a new couch and a recliner for them 3 months later because they're just ready for something new. And we go out for very small stuff like that. We go out and move recliners for elderly people that we moved 6-7 months ago to 2 years ago, and they're on a second floor. They're on 2 levels, and they're waiting for the retirement community space to open up, and they can't climb the stairs the way they used to. And we'll go out and rearrange the home Doesn't take us long, and a lot of bigger national companies or bigger local companies won't go out and do that. And to me, it's the same customer that we moved 6 months ago, or
Yeah.
we're going to move in a year. They
Yeah.
need help.
That's a
So
different level of service, though.
it is.
That's great.
And I mean, we did it 2 weeks ago on our way back from a job in South Kingston. And the person called us, hey, we got your name from this retirement community. You came highly recommended. We're waiting for a space to open. But we just needed our electronic recliner and our bed moved from the second floor to the first floor. And we might have to have you rearrange our bedroom, or I think it was a spare bedroom on the first floor, and bring that upstairs. Is that something you guys do? Yeah, sure, we'd be happy. Oh, thank God, we've called 2 other local companies that are 15 minutes away from us, and they wouldn't do it. And it's 15 minutes away. It took us probably maybe a half hour to do it for them.
Yep.
And it was on the way back from another job. Customer was happy, the guys were happy, and the customer is going to use us when they're ready for their next
Of
move.
course. Yeah.
And those are the things that I still scratch my head on when everybody, when other people tell me, oh, how are you guys so busy? Because we figure out how and who needs us. Not just the why do they need us, or why use us over somebody else. It's,
Yeah.
we're out there, we're actively looking for it.
Yep.
And if we can help, we're going to help.
Yeah.
If we can't, and it's something that might take us a week to get to it because it's just the recliner, and they need it done sooner, well, then we figure out a way to do it sooner, right? We might not be in the neighborhood. We might have to go 15, 20 minutes, a half hour out of our way to get there, but we're going to get it done for them because they can't do it themselves, right? And people are like, how do you make money on that? Sometimes we don't. It's 2 guys going out for 15 minutes, and you charge a customer as little as possible because you know it's something small,
Yeah.
and they're going to be a repeat customer in the future.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that's part of business.
I agree.
Making sure that customer, no matter how big the move is or how small it is they're going to be satisfied. And then when they look in the future, some of these clients are still, yellow page thought process. I'm just going to go to the yellow pages and find the biggest ad because they got to be the best. Now it's, if they're still that client, they're no longer looking towards the yellow pages. Right? And if they're a new age client, somebody that's younger and they're using word of mouth, they're using referrals, they're going on the internet, on social media, finding who's out there, who's promoting, who seems good. Those are the things that we see now, but again, it's all part of it, right? It's all part of, one, the experience of moving. I know for the longest time it was one of the top 3 most stressful things people will go through in their life.
Yeah.
I think it's fallen down. I think we're in I'm pretty sure we're still in the top 10 most stressful things that you'll ever do in your life. I know weddings has became one of them. Kids has moved up there. Death has always been strong on that list. And moving was one of the most stressful things that you'll do in your lifetime. How can you maneuver through that, still keep your sanity, still keep working, and reduce all of the headache from it? Hire a professional.
It's as easy as that.
It's as easy as that. And it really is. The biggest thing is figuring out who the real professional is.
Yeah.
To me, those are the ones, again, when you call our office and you're talking to anybody from there, and you're talking to them, you're asking some questions. Is this date available? What time are they going to show up? What's the hourly rate? How much is this going to cost? Those are the normal questions that you get. Now, our people start asking you more in-depth questions. Well, is your closing date finalized? Yes, it's the 15th. Okay, great. Are you sure? I think so. Let me get back to you. All right, not a problem. We're asking the questions that you should be asking other people as well.
Yeah.
Right? If you're calling us, you're getting the questions is, if something happens, we have backup people. If something happens, we'll get a truck out there. If your closing date changes, give us a call. We're going to rearrange it. There is no cancellation fee or rescheduling fee if you go from the 15th to the 18th, like we said earlier. We don't have that, where other companies may. Or other companies might say, you know what, if you can't do it on the 15th, we can't do it at all. If you can't do it on the 15th, we're going to figure out when we can that works for you. Again, it might be something very early in the morning. It might be something in the afternoon. But when you're our customer, you're our customer. And we're going to make sure that this move happens.
Yeah.
And happens as timely as possible because something came up.
Yeah.
Where again we'll get that call sometimes later in the process, and they didn't go with us. The closing date changes. Oh, we're not interested. We booked with somebody else, and then all of a sudden the closing date changes, and they're calling us back. Hey, do you guys have the 18th available? We were originally looking for this day. Yeah, we have it, but it looked like you booked with somebody else. You are calling Metz Moving. You know that, correct? Yeah, they couldn't do it. All right, not a problem. To us, you still have to get it done. We're not going to turn our back because you decided to go with somebody else.
Yeah.
Now, all of a sudden, they can't service your needs. We're not going to hold it against you. You're not going to get a higher price than what you originally got.
Yeah.
You're getting us. And you're getting people that I think, one, go above and beyond to make sure that your stuff is handled with care, that the guys that show up can have a conversation with you, that understand your needs, your wants, and your biggest concerns. Those are the things that we're there to do, right? Again, I've said it forever. You can have a good move with people who don't know what they're doing. It could go well. But it's what happens when it doesn't go well, and they're not a full-time mover. They're the landscaper. They're the guy with a dumpster or something, and, which, again, those services are needed. But I don't go out cutting grass or moving stuff in a dumpster.
Yeah.
If you need clean out services, we'd be happy to help. If you don't need clean out services, that's fine. But if you do, and it's something that is above and beyond our scope, we know the restoration companies to send it to, right? If it's borderline hoarder situation, we know the proper people with the proper degrees to go in and work with the client that's in that home to allow a mover or a junk guy to come in and take everything out of the home, so that way that person can, one, live freely again in that home, or it can go on the market to sell, because you're not going to be able to walk through it in a hoarder situation.
Yeah.
So those are the things, again, that we have the outlets for it. We have the proper referrals to make sure that those clients are still handled in the same care. Because this water bottle means more to them than it does to us, for whatever reason. The psychologists that we bring in understand that.
Yeah.
Right? So it's not us just going in and wiping it off the table and throwing out what seems to be trash to us, but to them it's what they've held on to for the last 2 years. But we know the people to bring in when we see that. Or, I've seen it where other companies would just walk away from the job and sorry, we don't do that. As soon as they show up, right? They're showing up, they're expecting to do the move, and they just run. Where for us, it's okay. Let's run in the same direction. Let's see what we can do to get this to the finish line, all at the same time with everybody else.
Yeah.
And again, that's part of the experience, right? That's part of doing it my entire life of finding these people.
Yeah.
And then they refer to us as well. So it's one of those things where that referral, that communication, to me is key, right? And I know you said what are the processes and the steps from start to finish. It's the same the whole way through. It's consistency. It's people who care. It's people that ask you questions. It's people that answer your questions. And it's people that are going to give you every piece of information that they possibly can to make sure that at least the moving portion of it goes well. Something's going to happen, right? We're going to scuff a wall. Something is going to get damaged. It's not a if, it's a when.
Yeah.
And then it's how is it remedied from there,
Right.
And the guys are very forthcoming with that. None of our people have ever been penalized for damage, right? They get penalized if they're not reporting the damage. They get. That's where the difference comes into play.
Yeah.
Because it's a mistake until you try to hide it.
Right.
Until you put the table over a scratch that you put in the floor, because they'll never move it, right? Or the rug, or you go to move a bureau away from the wall, and the plastic feet that were on it for the longest time are just brittle and they crack, and now you have a nail sticking out of the bottom of the dresser, right? And it scratches the floor. Well, eventually that scratch is going to get noticed. Would it be better that the mover that did it comes up to you and says, "Oh, I'm so sorry, I just scratched this, but we have a guy that can come out and repair it, and if needed, we've had repair guys out the same day of closing to make sure that the property was in the same condition it was during the walkthrough.
Right.
So those are the things, again, that might be small. I mean, we've done that and had a paper drawn up to be thrown in with closing because there was no way we can get a repair guy in.
Sure.
And now our
Yeah,
repair guy is
yeah.
going in
Yep.
to the new homeowner to make sure that that was in the same condition that it was in.
Yeah.
It does happen, but again, it's much better for the crew member to go to them and say, "Oh, man, sir, this just happened. We're gonna get it remedied, but I wanted you to know." Instead of, you know what, I'm gonna put this box right over the top of that scratch because they'll never
Yeah.
empty this box.
You
This box.
keep saying those might be small things, but I think those are like the biggest things. I think those are the key things that separate somebody from, being a true professional or client-centric business to, I'm just in this to, make a paycheck and go home.
I wish I could do that.
Yeah, but you wouldn't be the company that you were if you did.
No, and that's
right? And you wouldn't be as busy as you are if that were the case. So
to me, that's the way I look at it, right? And I always try to joke and have fun with it because if you're not, what's the point, right? If you're not having fun with what you're doing, why?
yeah,
If it's always a headache, if it's always a hassle, if it's always worry, then why,
yeah,
right? But when you have the guys that have been trained to mistakes are going to happen, you got to own up to it, right? And at the end of the day, they can go out and do a great job. It's 100% them. They go out and they do a bad job. It's 100% me.
yeah,
Right?
yeah,
They're out there. They're the face, right? They're the front line.
Yeah.
I can go out and we could have a great relationship. You refer us. We do a bad job. I'm going to explain to you what happened. The customer is going to know what happened. Our crew is going to know what happened. And then we move forward. We hope, right?
yeah,
But the next time something comes up, you're going to know and trust that, hey, the last time something did happen. But man, did he explain everything to me? Did he explain everything to the customer? Was the customer at the end of it as happy as they could be with the whole experience? As best they could be, yeah. So of course I'm going to give them another shot. But it's when that level of care from, again, the newest guy that we have to the most senior guy that we have, if there is no care between that gap, there's going to be a huge issue.
oh, totally.
And those are the things that I'm still there with, right? I'm on a daily basis making sure that the guys are showing up in uniform, that they're showing up caring, that they can have a good conversation with the customer and explain the entire process of what's going to happen. Because when it doesn't, and something unknown pops up, then what? Panic. People panic immediately. But it's the thing that when you get us, we try to give as much knowledge and experience to the guys, whether it's the newest one or the most senior.
Yeah,
We have bi-weekly team meetings, which is unheard of, as far as I know, in the moving industry. I've never been in one unless it was my own company. And maybe we'd get one once every quarter of, hey, we're doing good, but we noticed this, and this is happening. With us, it's, guys, this is what we've been doing great at. These are the things that we're still working on. These are the things that are still in process. These are all the stuff that makes us stay busy, right? It makes the customer know that we're still educating our people on a regular basis. And this is just moving. We're just moving stuff. We're picking things up and we're putting it down, right? We're moving it from there to here.
yeah,
But it's all part of it, right?
Yeah.
It's a service. It's a service. You can't, as we talked about earlier, you can't look at two moving companies as a TV screen. You can't, right? You can't say, oh, I like that picture better than this picture, so I'm going to go with this TV. It's service, and it's service that a majority of the time you're dealing with it over the phone. So if you don't feel comfortable with that conversation, you probably won't feel comfortable when the movers show up.
yeah,
Right, and to me, that's the way I look at it. And then when the movers show up and they're polite, they're courteous, they're taking their time, they're explaining what they're doing. They're some customers will have gotten that call, you guys just took a half hour to walk through my house and I'm paying for that. And then all of a sudden we're done an hour earlier than our estimate. It's because they took the time to walk through, understand everything of your needs, and now they can be very efficient with the rest of the move.
yeah,
And then, again, you'll get that where I couldn't believe they took that long to do the walkthrough. And then all of a sudden, now I understand why. Now it makes sense.
I see.
So, again, to me, yes, it's big stuff, right? Those are the big key things I think that keep us going. But to me, they're all little in just a portion of everything that we do.
Yeah.
To get to that big picture
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
what we're really providing here. It's a service to get you to your next chapter of life, whatever it is, whether it's an elderly person moving into a retirement community, the young first-time home buyer that has a little bit of stuff but just physically can't do it themselves. We're there for every step of the way. The people that are upsizing, people that are downsizing, people that are just moving temporarily from their decent-sized home temporarily to a condo or an apartment complex until their new home is finished being built. Those are the things that we're there to help them with. We're there to help facilitate what goes into it, right? We can move your belongings from your current home to your temporary home, bring the remainder back to our facility, our storage facility, and then when you're ready for the move, we'll bring all of it back out to your brand new home. And not everybody's looking at that big picture, right? To me, that's one customer that we're going to have to potentially be involved with in moving their belongings potentially 3 to 4 times. Knowing that and educating the customer on how every step of that move is going to go is key. Because the other mover that they might have talked to is only worried about moving them out of their current facility, dropping them off at their apartment, and then bringing the stuff back to storage. Never having the conversation of what's going to happen later. We're spelling all of that out. We're giving you what to worry about, what to watch for, what happens if you don't get your certificate of occupancy, but we're supposed to move in on the 12th, and you're waiting on Friday to see if you get it, and you're calling Friday night saying, guys, I know you're probably loading my stuff, but we can't do it until Wednesday now. Those are the things that, again, we're prepared for. We have the answers for what happens next.
Yep.
Again, I think are the biggest things are, for what I look at, is it's what are the customer's needs, and everybody's different, and that's why I love when people say it is, well, it's just an average 2-bedroom apartment. It's an average. Everything's different, you know. Ask a real estate agent what's an average home value of a 2-bedroom house. It's a huge range. Yeah. Location, size of it. You could have a 2-bedroom small, or you could have a 2-bedroom large. It's always different, and that's why for us, you know, we build an estimate based off of your needs, not of what it could be or what's going to make you book with us or think you're getting the best because it's a cheap price.
Right.
We're giving more than just a price. Yeah. We're giving added value because we know the referral partners, because we show up and the guys care and they know what they're doing. They're taking their time. They're being very efficient in every movement that they do to make sure that it's happening quick, customers happy, no issues are popping up, and as something does pop up, it's getting remedied as soon as possible.
Yeah. I think at the end of the day, that's really, I mean, what more could you ask for? Really?
Yeah, that's
you know, at the end of the day.
That's what we're aiming for.
Yeah.
Is what else can you ask for? Because we're ready to provide it. If you could tell us, we're ready to provide it. And that's why we do our emails after the fact.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And it's a small questionnaire. I want to say maybe 6 questions that go out in email. Some of them are, did the guy show up on time? Were they in uniform? Both of those things might seem small, but when you're in a apartment complex and your staff is walking around or somebody's walking around and they don't have a uniform on, what does that look like to that person that's walking down the hallway? Who is this guy and what's he doing in my building? Or we're in senior facilities consistently. They want to make sure that they know who's in their building. Well, to me, being in uniform and standing out, knowing what we're there for, we have a job going on at a local base. If we don't show up in uniform, they're not even letting us on the facility.
Yeah.
You know, so those are the things, to me, again, it's small, and customers, a fair amount of them will just overlook it and not even pay attention to it. But then you know that person that's showing up is representing a company. They are representing the name on the shirt. They're all a part of it. So we see that pretty consistently, at least for us, is be in uniform, be kind, be courteous, know what you're doing, have the understanding that moving is stressful, and you're there to minimize it as best as possible. When all of that is accomplished, it's only more work for them in the future.
Right.
Right?
Yeah.
A good move might go to 5 people.
Right.
A bad move is going all over the internet. Right? So to them, the guys show up, they care, and they know that what they're doing today predicts 3 weeks from now of what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Because that's, the referral cycle of it.
That's right. Yeah.
And that's what
some business fundamentals.
right,
Yeah.
and that's what it comes down to. I say it. We talked about it earlier. Moving is one of those things where I've been in it my entire life, so I'm still somewhat inside the box, right? So when I look at it, I'm in the box. What are the outside world looking at the moving industry box, right? And I know forever ago it used to be, well, you'll probably get a guy with a coffee in one hand and a cigarette in another, the old school mover mentality, and that's what I have seen people were conditioned to.
Yeah.
And now we're getting, guys that are showing up, men and women that are showing up, that leave their phone in the cab of the truck, that are there for the customer. They know that if they're getting in there, getting it done fast and efficient, they can get back to their Facebook, their YouTube. They can get back to that, right? And those are the things that are a little bit different than forever ago when I was doing this with my grandfather and uncles and things like that. It was a coffee in one hand and a cigarette in another, and a box stuck in between their elbows. You can't do it. And now those are the things that we're kind of breaking away from, right?
Yeah.
To me, I'd rather hire a guy that has no moving experience whatsoever and train them in the right facet instead of hiring the guy with 16 years of experience that might be the wrong experience. And then break that.
Right.
Right. We don't have a problem with experienced movers. We love bringing new ones in that fit our mold.
Yeah.
That fit who we are.
Yeah.
But a lot of times it's, they have that, they're the best in the industry. I'm sure you deal with it.
Sure.
Even in mortgage,
Oh, yeah.
real estate, flooring. Again, all these people, everybody, restaurants are dealing with it. That this Italian chicken parm is better than this one. They're both great, and you go to both of them. But those are the differences with restaurants. You don't like it, you never have to go back. With moving, it's you hire the wrong person, you kind of have no choice but to move forward with them, especially if you only have a day or two to get out.
Yeah.
So those, to me, that's can be some scary stuff when the guys show up and you're like,
Totally.
oh man, these are the people I just hired.
You're in for the ride now. Yeah.
And again, I mean it happens. It's scary to me. We're here to elevate our competition, and we want our competition to elevate us. To us, it's all part of it, right?
Yeah.
We know that there's some good people out there that do some good work, and we respect them for it, and we're here to again just grow our industry, get it away from that old mentality of, oh, here's the mover with the coffee and a cigarette in a hand, and it's 8 o'clock in the morning and they're showing up like that. I don't want movers moving my couch with cigarette smell. I just don't. I just don't.
Yeah.
But it doesn't mean that I'm not hiring people who smoke or that are cigarette smokers, but they know when to take their breaks. They know how to go about it where it's not affecting the customer. Again, to me, it's just a small part of it. Right?
Yeah.
For people who are asthmatic, they can't deal with it.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But knowing that the guys, when they're asked, oh, I have a problem with breathing, please don't do, oh, very sorry. And they won't. These are people that potentially smoke a pack a day, but yet won't do it for that customer because they know that they're there to care.
Yeah.
Right? For the longest time, people would say, act like it's your own stuff. And I say, no, never act like it's your own stuff. You act like it's your grandparents, you act like it's your parent, you act like it's somebody that's going to slap you upside the head if you don't do it right.
Yeah, sometimes you don't care if you break your own stuff.
You don't care if you break your own stuff, but you're going to care when your grandmother comes up and says, that was mine, and they whack you upside the back of the head.
Yeah.
Those are the differences, and again, we're dealing with all different stuff from just a small one recliner move in somebody's house because they just physically can't do it, up into large companies that were moving 200 people in a weekend while their downtime is happening. in every step of the way, it's the same process. Whether it's one chair or 500 chairs, it's the same process. And it's, at the end of it, it's just about caring.
Yeah.
That's, to me, it's the biggest thing that it comes down to with us is just that step of that extra time to care and understand what the customer truly needs.
Yeah.
We can't provide a good service if we don't know what they want.
Right. Right.
And we know it's, moving from point A to point B, you would think. But then they start adding things, washers and dryers. How do they get disconnected? How do they get reconnected? That brand new refrigerator that has the ice maker in it. How does that get hooked up at the new house? Who do you have to call to get that done? Is it something that the mover does? Is it something that they have to hire out to somebody else? Those are the questions that come up, and those are the questions that we bring up to the consumer that's hiring us.
Who's not
so
even
they
thinking
know.
about
Right,
it.
they're not even
Yeah.
thinking about it.
Yeah.
And again, to me, I feel as though they're all small differences because I'm in the box. Right?
Yeah.
It's stuff that we do on a daily basis.
Right.
So
right.
when you're saying, George, those are the big things to me. To us, it's all the small stuff that makes that big thing happen. Right?
Yeah, I get it. I get what you're saying.
So to me, I'm still stuck in that box. So anytime I get outside feedback, we're always looking for feedback. We're always looking for that because, again, to me, it's I wouldn't even say second nature. It's right there with first for me.
Yeah.
I've been doing this.
Well, it shows. It shows you
We
give
try.
a shit about your business.
We try.
Right.
And again, the people who go out there, they have to. If they don't care, they don't last that long. They could be one of the. We have had some of the best movers from other companies show up to us, and they're the best at what they do. They know the industry inside and out. They're showing up and they're ready to run my business because they know everything about it. But then they don't have customer service, or they don't care if they're showing up to a client's house 20 minutes late. Well, they had to stop and grab their Gatorade or their coffee or grab breakfast. Fine, you got to eat, you got to have a drink. But to show up 15, 20 minutes outside of our window, it shows that, to me, it shows that we don't care about your time. We'll show up when we show up.
Yeah.
That's not us.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Your time is no more valuable than ours. No, everybody's time is valuable, right? So to show up and just not care about what time you show up, you won't last that long, right?
But you're certainly not going to get those referrals.
No, because then the biggest thing is they will be the ones who don't fill the tube with the next job.
Right.
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 They might be good at what they do. They might know how to wrap things. They might know how to pad things. They might know how to protect things, but they might not know how to relay that message to the customer. Those are the things to me that, again, they could be great at what they do. They could be an unbelievable mover, know how to load a truck, make everything fit in one trip. But at the end of the day, if they don't have that customer service side of it, if they can't relay that message of why it's taking 2 extra hours to load the truck, and it was only a 5-minute drive down the road, and it probably would have been quicker just to do it in 2 smaller trips, without relaying that message to the customer, it's difficult to make a happy customer. Again, and expectations of our clients, a majority of the time, are just moving them from point A to point B.
Yeah.
That's their expectation.
Right.
But when they show up and the guys are explaining stuff, and they're, and the customer says, "Oh, guys, I got to run to the closing. I'll be back in an hour or 2." They feel as though that they're leaving with no one there, no one to represent them, but they know when they leave that all this stuff is going to be still taken care of the same way it was when they were watching them, to the same way it was when they're at the closing.
Yeah.
Until they get to the new house, they know that their stuff is being treated
Yeah.
properly. From that
Peace of mind, right? Peace of mind.
From that 15, 20-minute conversation
Right.
when the movers walked in, right?
Yeah.
It's relaying that we know what it's going to take, and we want to make sure you understand it as well. And again, that's why, some other people that we've hired, they don't last long, and they might be very good at what they do, but it's all or nothing. Right?
Yeah, I get it.
And,
Yeah,
and
that's important, especially when your name is on the truck.
it's my name on the
Yeah.
truck. It's when I see it, I think one of my favorite times, I was on a way back from a road trip. Coming back, I was moving somebody to Florida, and we were on the way back with an empty vehicle, and I want to say we were in New Jersey or New York, somewhere at the edge, and I see my truck going in the opposite direction, delivering somebody to North Carolina. I knew they were I knew we had a load going down. I didn't expect to see, my name
Yeah,
going in the opposite
yeah,
direction on the
yeah.
highway, and I'm like, yeah, that's pretty cool. Like, and I hardly ever take that time to I don't want to say boast or I just don't have the time to look at it that way.
Yeah.
Right, of where we came from when we first
Sure.
started.
Yeah.
Myself, a brother, and a cousin in one truck, to now having 11 vehicles and 20 plus people on the road daily,
Yeah.
Monday through Saturday. I don't take the time to look at where we came from to where we got to. A lot of times it's, well, we got from here to here, that's great, but how do we get from the new location
Yeah.
on?
Yeah.
Right? But we also, along the way, any headaches, any problems, that all gets adjusted as we go further, right?
Right.
We take it.
You learn from everything, right?
Right.
And you grow from it.
Every issue, to me, just should make you a better business person.
Yeah.
And if you're looking at it as a problem, this thing is a problem. We can't do that anymore. It's, no, that thing was an issue. Let's figure out how we solve it so we can do it not only more, but do it 10 times better than the first time we messed up.
Right.
And again, those are the things that you learn. You squish your fingers. You
Yeah,
get in there.
yeah.
You get dirty. You figure it out.
Yeah.
To me, those are some of the differences. When I show up and we do a walkthrough and it's a bidding situation, and you have 6 other companies there at the same time on the commercial side, and I'm in a polo, ready to go out and do a move if needed, and they're fully dressed, just like yourself. You're not ready to go do a move with me,
Yeah.
right? But the sales guy I'm going against for this job knows the sales of moving, but then doesn't know how to complete the move when he gets it. And I find that amazing. That happens and still happening. But those are the things, to me, is I've done it, right?
Yeah.
I have a black fingernail right now because I squished my finger, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Because I'm still out there, I'm still helping. I'm not the owner that's showing up saying, get out there and get these jobs done and, just get out and go do it. It's, all right, guys, this is what your crew is doing, and I'm going to stop by this job. I'll be stopping by your job. Our operation manager is going to stop by yours and by yours. And we're just checking in. Not that we don't trust these. We want to make sure the customer is having a good experience.
Right.
We want to make sure that the crew is following our normal steps of how a job is going to be completed. We're there to, again, make sure that the customer on our side can feel comfortable and know that the job is going to get done fast, efficient, and safe.
Yeah. Creating that referable experience. There.
Right. And that's what we want, because we know that, again, what we do today isn't going to affect tomorrow or next week. It's too late. Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's what we're going to do in 3 weeks, 4 weeks, a month from now.
Yeah.
Is what our guys are doing today is building up for 2 weeks, 3 weeks from now.
Yeah.
And our guys, again, we train them to understand that, because everybody has an off day, right? There's days, I'm sure you come in, do I really want to do this today? No, but you get it done and you do great at it, right? Where we look at it the same way. There are days when we show up and it's a massive house and nothing is ready and it was supposed to be, right? It's like, they didn't pack anything? Okay, let's get in there and let's talk to this customer and let's get it figured out and let's make this happen.
Yeah.
Versus the other companies that have walked away from that and saying, well, if you're not ready, we can't do anything. Well, the person's professional business person that didn't have enough time during the week, they thought they were going to have more time.
Yeah.
And now all of a sudden it's in our lap, but we're going to make sure that the customer understands everything.
Yeah.
Versus the next guy that's going to, or the first guy that originally walked in saying, we can't do this job until Wednesday now. And you're supposed to be out on Tuesday. What happens?
Mm-hmm.
So those are the things, again, to me, it's all, I'm in the box, right?
Yeah.
To me, it's still all that small stuff. But from the outside world, that's probably a box on its own, right?
Yeah, no, it is. And so, just hearing you talk about your business, obviously you're very passionate about it. You're very compassionate about it also, all right? And I think it would do people well to listen to this, to really get some insight on this.
I hope so.
And
I hope so.
I think about some of the experiences that I've had with different people and different stories that I've heard.
Yep.
And it really seems like you got this buttoned up. So
we try, man. We try.
Yeah, it's great. It's great.
We try to keep it as tight as possible, because we know, sometimes you get it that tight and it unravels a little bit, But when it unravels, there's something quickly that could be done to get it back tight again, to adjust, right?
Yeah.
You know, I look at it as you have to be able to adjust on the fly. Right?
Yeah.
Because who knows
Flexible.
what's going to happen.
You got to be flexible.
You have to be flexible. Or give options if you can't be that flexible.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if you can't do the 15th and that's when the customer needs, then you give them options for maybe the 13th or the 14th or the 15th, but very early in the morning, or the 15th in the afternoon.
Yep.
You give them options. You don't just say no. You give them, and you explain to them why things can or can't be done in a certain amount of time.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to tightening up and getting there, man, it's been, to me, it feels like forever to get to that tightness.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But at the same point, it happens like this because when you're doing it right, it falls into place.
Exactly.
If you're fighting against the stream consistently, you have to start figuring out how come I'm consistently fighting the same battle.
Yeah.
Is it, again, if the guys go out and do a great job today, it's 100% them. They did it. They carried the dressers. They wrapped the furniture. They made the customer happy. Those guys do a bad, same group the next day does a bad job, it's my fault. It's not theirs. It's did we not educate them enough? Did we not go over the move enough before they left to understand what they need to do?
Mm-hmm.
That's what I look at, right? And to me, again, just like anything, you're only as good as the last thing you do.
Yeah. No, that's true. Yeah.
Right. And again, unfortunately for our industry, the horror stories that you've heard, that you've come across, I don't think it's a customer embellishing on what happened. A lot of those horror stories are true.
Yeah.
They rarely happen to people.
Yeah. Oh, I believe it.
We have a current client moving from Washington State back here. We were talking about it a little
Yeah.
earlier. They gave a deposit to what they thought was a reputable company. The moving company didn't show up on them 4 times in a row. And they had to be out. Their closing was happening the next day. And they called us. What do we do? I know you guys are in Rhode Island. We're moving back to that area. We heard all good things about you when we started talking about where we were moving to. And we want to use you, but we're in Washington and we have to be out by, I want to say they had to be out by the 6th of this month. And we can't get to them until the 20th. Just the way it worked, we couldn't get to them. But we educated them on what they could do without using us.
Yep.
How to get their belongings out of the home into a safe location so that we could pick it up in the future if they did go with us. And if they didn't, at least they knew their belongings were out of the home in a good facility where they could get access to it, where they could hire somebody else to move it, or if they wanted to, they could do it themselves. We gave them so many different options just to educate them, including not using us.
Yeah.
And try to at least, again, over-educate them. And then because of the other people not showing up with all the information they got from us, they decided to go with us. Because again, now they feel safe.
Mm-hmm.
You know, how do you trust any mover in the future if that mover didn't care?
Sometimes you're guilty by association in some of these industries.
100% guilty by association. And they were worried. Well, you know, I have to give you a deposit. I have to do this. I have to, you know, how do I know you're going to show up? How do I know you're going to do what you're telling me you're going to do? And when we say, well, our deposit is this amount, and they say, oh, that's less than what the last guy was. Well, all we want to do is, because of how far we're going, because of everything that goes into it, we just want a small portion to know that you're going to show up as well. Right?
Yeah.
Not just us. It's for you as well. And they said, but that's really cheap for a deposit. And I said, well, you can pay the rest when we deliver it. You know, it's locally, it's a start to finish credit card, check, cash, whatever works for your payment method, we're fine with it. Long distance, a little bit different, but again, very, very similar, right? We never want the customer to feel as though the mover's got my stuff. Now they have me handcuffed.
A hostage. Yeah.
Those are the things that our industry does a lot of, and it frustrates the hell out of me. When you can give a client a long distance estimate of X amount of dollars, and it turns into X, Y, and Z for the same stuff. And the consumer at that point has to pay or else they lose their stuff. And it's still very, laws and regulations are very much still industry friendly, not consumer friendly when it comes to that. So I always tell everybody, even when they come to us, George, we're going with you 100%. Get another estimate. Just for a long, get one so you can understand what goes into it.
Well, not only that, yeah, I do the same thing because, I mean, it takes away anybody's doubt, I feel like, when you do that. And even if they don't take you up on it,
Right.
they know that you are comfortable enough to tell them to do that. And, and it takes away that, that anxiousness of it. And if they do it, right, well, hopefully, it's going to be in your favor anyways, and they're going to see it. So.
If and when they do it, and I always tell them, do it just for the peace of mind, but understand what their estimate means compared to ours, right? And whether it's us or, again, you get 3 estimates, and man, those 2 look really good, but yet George's company, they're way up here. Their price is almost double what these guys were. But then you look at our estimate and you look at theirs, and ours is for 6,800 pounds and theirs is for 3,000 pounds. Well, there's the difference. And then the worst part is you might be paying $1 per pound, maybe. It all depends on what you're talking with and what you're talking about. But it could be $1 a pound to go long distance. And again, they gave you an estimate of $3,000 because they estimated 3,000 pounds. And then you start looking at their fine print. Ours is all bold. We don't have any fine print. We want to make sure that the customer understands it.
Yeah.
Where the other ones is, how close can I park my truck? If it's more than 150 feet away, there's more money. If I have to carry stairs, it's X amount of dollars per flight. If we have to use moving blankets, it's X amount of dollars per pad. Where our price included all of that.
I gotcha.
Right? So now we get your belongings on the truck, or they get your belongings on the truck. They immediately go to the closest weight station to weigh the truck. Oh, sorry to tell you, you have 6,890 pounds. Now your new price is not $1 a pound anymore. Now it's $3.50 a pound because they have your stuff. And in the contract, it says it's based off of weight. And your original estimate was 3,000 pounds. And anything above and beyond that is open for additional charges. And it says it right in their estimate. But they're not looking at what they actually have. They're not going and weighing every box.
Most people don't read the fine print either.
And that's what I tell them all the time is, especially in this, read the fine print, or I don't know how many times we've tried to help people to understand somebody else's estimate as well.
Yeah.
Because they couldn't get the sales guy of that company to answer the phone and give them some answers.
Yeah.
We're just here to help the industry as a whole, right?
Yeah.
And if we can't help bring it up, and we can't help do our portion to make it something that's just a better customer experience, then we're doing the wrong thing.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here for, to bring it up.
Perfect.
And if other people try to use our information to better their company, great, because now it's only more of a competition. Right, now we actually have something to go out there and fight for, instead of, And again, I say it that way, but unfortunately, it's true.
Yeah.
Right. The worst part is, like you said earlier, you don't know what you don't know until you know it. And in our industry, it's too late when the truck shows up, and as soon as the door opens, trash is falling out. Versus us showing up and coming up and introducing ourselves. Every member of the crew comes up. And, before COVID, it was an elbow or, hey, I'm so-and-so, take down the mask, put the mask back on, but from a distance.
Yeah.
Now it's a little bit more relaxed. People are shaking hands again. So you get that feeling. You get as soon as you shake these guys' hands, it's, oh, they are here to take care of my stuff. They're not just here to move me, throw it in a truck and get it out.
Yeah. That's perfect.
But it's stuff that we work on a daily basis.
Yeah.
It's all, to me, business 101.
Yeah.
Happy customer equals more.
Yep.
Referrals, again, for us, are huge. I've always said it, if referral partners out there have a relationship with a mover and it's going great, good, keep it, because they're hard to come by. They are hard to come by. But if you don't and you want to try somebody, give us a shot. You'll see a difference.
Yeah.
Right? If you referred this same company for the last 10 years and there's changes there, or you referred that company and the last 2 moves have gone downhill, and but you've worked with them so much, so hard, you've tried, and you try again, and it happens again. It's only a matter of time before you have to look elsewhere, or you just don't refer to the industry at all.
Yeah.
But again, that's what hurts us, because we're going to make sure that if something happens, it's remedied.
Yeah.
If your referral partner that you have now in the moving industry can't perform on a specific day for whatever reason, they're too booked, they had the job and then the closing got changed again from the 15th to the 18th, or end of the month, and it's very busy. You're trying to get all the closing docs out to make sure everybody can make it by the end of the month, and the mover that you've always referred decides, oh, we can't do it that day, we have this other big job, we can't do it. Just give us the opportunity. Right? We're not looking for every job that comes through the door.
Yeah.
We'd love for it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But let's be realistic, is we might not be able to hand every job that comes in the door from your clients, or timing wise. We might have, you might have 5 customers that are going to close on the 28th of this month, and we can only squeeze in 3 of them that day, and we can walk them through of other days that we could do it for them, and give them other options. But to me, again, if you have a referral source for a mover, keep it. They are hard to come by. If you don't, give us an opportunity. And if you do, and your mover for some reason starts going downhill, give us a shot.
Perfect.
If they for whatever reason have to postpone on your client, give us a shot. We're not going to judge our referral partners or the client that says, I'm going with so and so, they're $10 an hour cheaper. Yeah. Okay, best of luck to you. I hope everything goes well. And again, every now and then we get that call back, or that other company that was $10 an hour cheaper can't show up because it's raining, and a guy calls out, the truck breaks down, they can't show up. Give us a shot, because again, the worst thing we're going to do is say, not today.
Yeah.
But.
Right.
But.
Awesome. Yeah.
Right. It's one of those things that again, we'll take the time to allow them to fully grasp what's actually happening with using us.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I know you had another company that was going to move you on the 15th. They can't get there. Unfortunately, we can't get there either, but we could do this, or this.
Yeah.
We might be able to do this. We might be able to load your belongings on the 15th, but might not be able to deliver until first thing in the morning on the 16th. Or we might be able to load you up on the 15th at night, and you can't get in for the next closing again until the 18th. Well, we'll bring your stuff back to our facility, get it off of our truck. Overnight trucks cost are very expensive versus the time that it would take to offload and reload the truck.
Yeah.
It might be cheaper to physically do the labor part of it than it would be just to leave it on a truck overnight.
Yeah.
And those are the things that we talk to every client, because every case is different.
Right.
It might be better to leave the stuff on the truck for one night for that client compared to this one. And we just educate them on what's best for them, or what we think would be best and best fit for them. And then we allow them to make a decision on their own. It's not you have to do it this way. It's, these are your options.
Right.
We think this one works best for you, but it might not. There might be something that you have going on that you couldn't do that. We don't know that because you haven't told us. But then when you tell us, it's like, oh, okay, now that we know, let's do it this way. Let's get it done that way.
Got it.
So again, that's a lot of. I mean, that's us. That's who we are. That's what we do.
Yeah.
On a regular basis, day in and day out.
All right, this has been super informative, really in depth, and thank you so much for jumping on.
I appreciate it.
And just reviewing all this. This is great information.
We try. We try. Again, we push. We care. We're not going anywhere.
I can see that.
No, we're cemented. Again, as we were saying earlier, a lot of our local other companies that do moving, they're aging, and they're getting to the point where I see this market, and again, if you're watching and you want to join the moving industry, I see this being a good avenue for people who want to start a business, but know what you're doing, right? Please don't come
for the
in
customer's
and bring us
sake,
down.
know what you're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
No matter what you get into, right?
Yeah.
You want to have good customer feedback. Go out, talk to these people. When I originally started, I was talking to owners of other businesses altogether.
Mm-hmm.
And they said, well, who's doing what you want to do? And go find that guy and talk to him. Locally, there was no response. I was 20-something years old, going and knocking on the what I thought were the big companies at the time.
Yeah.
And I'm knocking on the door saying, hey, I'm going for my license. You know, do you have any information or nothing? Doors shut in my face. People in my industry didn't care who I was, how many
Yeah.
generations I've been doing it for. It was yeah, good luck, kid, and there's the door. When I was getting my license, at that point, you had to prove a need to have a mover's license in Rhode Island. And luckily, we were out of the hearing officer's 38 years of being a hearing officer that hands out the licenses. Out of his 38 years, we were the only one that never had competition show up to stop it.
Hmm.
And the hearing officer said, George, I don't know what you did or who you know or who you talked to, but most of the time this room is full of other moving companies saying, no, there isn't enough work. But yet, here you are with no one else in the room except for you and the other person that's going up for a taxi license. This is before Uber. So when he saw that, when I saw that, I didn't know why. And the only thing I could put that to was I tried to go out and meet with these people. And I did tell them that if I don't get my license now because they show up and they contest,
Yeah.
well, in 6 months I'll be back again.
Yeah.
And if you do it again, I'll be back in 6 more months.
Yep.
I wasn't going anywhere. I don't plan on going anywhere. And to me, when the hearing officer said that, it kind of opened my eyes to, you know, they were shutting the door because they saw change. They weren't shutting the door because they were afraid of competition. At least what I look at now.
Yeah.
Right? If I have offered to some of our workers that weren't working out with us, they just, again, they turned into the mover that we would most likely get rid of.
Yeah.
We've had some turn into that. And I say, listen, if you want to do better, start your own company. And I'll help. I'll give you, you know, our processes and procedures that we wrote. Because again, you're good at what you do, but maybe you feel as though you outgrew us.
Yeah.
Then best of luck to you.
Yeah.
Go and do it.
Yeah.
It's a right now it's a free market. Anybody can go and get a mover's license. But you have to have a truck, you have to have insurance.
Yeah.
Which gets expensive. But to me, I'd rather educate these people, even if they want to be my competition one day. I'd rather it be a good, friendly competition than somebody saying that I'm trying to stop them from growing, because that's the last thing I want to do with anything.
Yeah, nobody wants that.
So, you know, I'm here to help anybody in our industry. People that have been doing it forever, or people that are just starting. We're on a walkthrough again, and we had a competitor contact me about 15 minutes after we walked out of the walkthrough asking me questions about it. And I'm like, oh, this is a guy that's new to the block, maybe been around a few years. And I was amazed that they had the, I don't know, courage to call a competitor to ask questions.
Yeah.
You know, I don't know if it would courage or just they didn't know enough about what they walked into. So instead of calling the customer saying, hey, we had a few questions on it, they called me. And to me, I was like, this is great. You know, when I could be a resource for even my competitors.
Yeah. That says something.
It says something.
Yeah.
Right? So to me, I'm happy to help.
Yeah.
No matter who it is or what it is. If they need help and we can help, we're here for that.
Awesome.
And again, I think it just goes to who we are, right?
Yeah.
If 5 other, currently there's 45 licensed movers in the state of Rhode Island. To me, I'm okay with helping the newest one or the oldest one that's about to just retire. You know, I've never thought of what the exit strategy is.
Yeah.
Why would I?
Yeah.
It's what I do.
Yeah.
But when I see that, when I hear that, when I have other competitors contacting me, asking me about things that I'm just mind blown, because that was never a thing, right? Even when I was trying to ask and doors are getting shut in my face.
Yeah.
And fast forward 12 plus years, and I have the newer people asking me questions. I've never sent them away.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I've never said, sorry, kid, or sorry, guys, I don't know what to tell you, or I don't want to tell you anything. These are my secrets. This is the industry we're in, and if we can work together in any capacity of, knowing what type of wheels we were going to use, or if we were going to use a pallet jack, or if we were going to use a panel cart, or how were you going to move this item? Were you going to hire a rigger, or were you going to do it yourself? Those are some of the questions that I'm getting asked, and I'm like, no, we do it all in-house. We would never think of hiring a rigger to come get this table down a flight of stairs. That's what we do. But to me, again, I think it went to the character of who we are as a company, that they even felt comfortable of even asking.
Yeah.
So to me, it just kind of, I'm happy they asked. To me, it kind of shows that they shouldn't be in that market yet. Maybe a couple years, and that's kind of what I told them. If you're asking me these questions, maybe you should worry about doing something else in moving. Maybe just transportation, loading dock to loading dock.
Yeah.
And not necessarily on the moving side of it, because to me it was scary that they were asking these questions, because it just went to them saying they don't know everything about what they're alleging they know.
Right.
So again, it's consumer alert. Pay attention. Make sure you ask the questions. Ask the questions.
Yeah.
No matter what you're going with, right? Ask the questions. And if they're easy questions, try to dig up some hard ones. The what happens if it snows, it rains, the closing falls through, you get a flat tire, your truck isn't available to go on the road, you have somebody call out. Those are the questions that we are facilitating to our customers, because we know our answers.
Yeah.
And we know what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Where the next guy, when they get asked that, all of a sudden they freeze. Or, hello? And then all of a sudden your phone's ringing and they're calling you back because somehow their phone hung up. And what was that question? All right, hang on. I'm going to have my manager give you a call back.
Yeah.
Anytime you have that, that's a problem.
Yeah.
I don't knock salespeople when it comes to car side of sales, right? But if we're sitting down and you're trying to sell me a car and you have to get up to go talk to your manager about the deal that you're doing, then why are we having the conversation? Why is the manager here?
Yeah.
Right? To me, it's the same thing across the board.
Yeah.
If you can call my office and they don't know what you're asking, then I need to know, because we didn't fully educate them.
Yeah.
Right? And it shouldn't be something of, well, when my manager gets back, he's on the road right now, but when he gets back, we'll have him give you a call. Well, no. First of all, if that happens with us and they don't know, we're going to give you a call back within 15 minutes, because they're going to call somebody, they're going to get the answer, and they're calling them right back.
Yeah.
Versus they are waiting a day or two to find out what happened with their move, or what's going to happen with their move. And again, those are, to me, it's all small little things that fill this moving box that I have. And that's why I say, to me, it's all small stuff that's packed in this big moving box. And again, to the outside world, I don't know what it looks like. But to me being in it, this is all the stuff that goes into making a good move, to making a happy customer, to keeping happy referral partners. And then when they say, oh, but those are the big things, like you said, those, to me, they're probably all boxes on their own. But I can't see it. I've been in it too long to notice what is something that's big and very important to what is small and not so important to the customer side. But to me, they're all in that box, and they're all just as
well. It kind of
big or
sounds
small,
like a good thing. So and that is your business, and that's your approach, and that sounds all really positive to me. So
hey, we push. And again, I appreciate you for having us
Absolutely.
here. Very, very looking forward to assisting as many people as we can for you, and keep moving forward.
All right, George. All right.
Good.
Appreciate it.